have a callback for 86 Echo. Negative K, nothing further, just see the cabbie on the corner. 19 Sergeant is Central. 19 Sergeant, check.
Protect and Serve Radio is on the air, presented by the City of Thief River Falls and sponsored by Imagine Salon, The Grand Stay, Reed Realty, and the Puck on Third.
Right, Echo, Connor, right. Alright, 10 flight, 62, 1090.
Morning.
Morning.
So today we're going to talk about shooting. The special feature today is involving your guys' annual. It's annual, right?
Yep, qualification.
It's actually biannual. We do it twice a year. Yeah.
Okay. And we've got a video that we'll have in the post-show video showing you, but you'll be able to hear Ryan describe what's happening. The chief is going to go through the different weapons being used. And when you do this, you're trying to, we covered a little bit of this in the video, but some of the things we talked about, for instance, we got the handguns and the less lethal, and you didn't do any taser training.
That's different. Taser training is in our when we go through self-defense or the DT, defensive tactics instruction. That's a different part of our training.
Okay. And so
there's actually a target qualification with taser training too. So yes, we do train with that as well. We do it at a different time.
So you have the driving training, you have the shooting training, you have the
defensive tactics.
Oh, so you like wrestle around type of?
Yeah, we do stuff like that.
What else do you do?
Just about any special tool that we have to train. If we use it, we have to train with it. And then there's all kinds of other technical training that doesn't involve that, investigative skills and techniques for interviewing people and de-escalation, dealing with EDPs. There's a lot of training.
Like domestic, when you confront, say, two people who are family related.
We don't annually train on specific situations or domestics. That's just something that we learn in school, and then through time you kind of learn your own tactics and understand what to do in those situations. So that's just something you learn over time. So
okay, but fair to say, there's a lot of ongoing training.
There's a lot. It's a lot.
You're not just driving around.
In Minnesota, we have what's called the Peace Officer Standards and Training. It's a board that ensures that we continually have education for law enforcement. And every officer has to have 48 continuing education credits in their licensing period, which is 3 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so it's very active.
No, we get plenty of training, and we've spent a lot of our training budget. We have a pretty large training budget here, so since I came here, we've really expanded training because I kind of have that background.
Okay. So we're going to talk more about this during the video coming up in the special feature. Let's talk, since we've been here a month ago, Night to Unite was here.
Yeah, we had that last Tuesday.
How'd that go?
It went well. I went there for a little while and had a hot dog and some food and talked to a few people. He was there the whole time, so he probably knows more about how it went.
It went just as good as it always does. This was our 7th annual Night to Unite, and basically it was created in order to have good relationships with the community and the police together.
Sure.
And it's been a big hit in town. We've always had close to 1,000 people every year when we do it, and we've really been fortunate with the weather, and we have it in a great location too at Pioneer Village. It's a real nice spot to do that at.
Right.
So.
Yep.
So you had that, and now, of course, we're only 2 weeks away from school starting again. The little ones are going to be running to the bus, excited to go back to school. Traffic-wise, what are your guys' expectations?
It's always a concern, I guess.
It is.
The schools and watch for school buses. I think we pretty much, that's our number one goal, is watch for school buses. That's kind of the big message out there is to.
And what's the rule again when you see a school bus?
Well, number one is slow down because you don't know when they're gonna.
They paint them orange for a reason to make them high visibility. So anytime you're near a school bus, whether there's lights on or not, you should be ready to stop.
That's good advice, yeah.
At any time, the yellow lights can come on, and then the stop sign and the red lights are going to come on shortly after the yellow lights. So anytime you see a school bus, it's bus time. So
Well, and not to mention those kids that at the very young age, they're not really adhering to those rules of only when the lights are on.
No, they'll run out. I want to get on the bus, and
Yep.
you just got to be careful. So drivers need to be very defensive and just automatically know that when there's a bus around, there's a pretty good possibility that there's kids coming along with it.
Now, and I only say this because my youngest is going through driver's ed right now.
Yep.
So there's a lot of new licensed teenagers out there that are going back to school for the first time as well.
Yes.
Now, we always talk about kids and buses and watch out for them. And I'm not trying to stereotype young people driving, but there's a lot of excited young kids who first time back to school and they just got their driver's license. You got to be looking out for those as well.
It's an experience.
Yeah.
It's just there's a lot going on, and
right.
New drivers tend to just look straight forward, and they got their hands right there. It's like
10 and 2.
Yeah, there's just a lot of places to look, and it's a lot for young drivers.
Yep.
And they just really need to pay
you
attention.
called it stereotyping. It's not stereotyping. It's reality.
Percentages.
That anything you do, experience counts and makes you better at whatever you're doing.
Sure.
Whatever
Yeah.
you're doing, experience. There's no substitute for it.
Yep. Yeah, we bought our daughter a tank. Just figured that'd be safe.
Help out
slow,
a little bit.
Slow, but whatever. Okay, since we were on the last show, we also had a new law in the state of Minnesota regarding texting and
hands-free.
Hands-free.
Hands-free is what we call it.
How are we doing so far?
Pretty good. I've pulled over a few people for it.
I think that it will be an easier transition with this than what it was trying to get people to wear their safety belts.
Oh.
And the reason I say that is we had 60 or 70 years of driving without safety belts, and people grew up that way and didn't get used to it. We've only had cell phones for about 10 years.
Yeah.
So it's a habit, and it's definitely a habit we'll have to break, but I just don't think it's quite as ingrained as what it was where people just grew up not wearing safety belts. So.
Well, and with the newest technology,
years,
Bluetooth and hands-free and like Apple Play and all those makes it a little bit easier than if you had to like in the station truck, it pops up and says what the text is and it'll actually read it to you.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's good technology to have.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a hard law to break. I'm struggling at times, but I still I'm pulling over, and it's not that important. I don't answer until I'm stopped. So
we've put cell phone holders in all of our squad cars so that you could actually accept a call. And you are allowed to accept a call by pushing the button once, and then have it on speakerphone. That's still permissible, but obviously it's still a distracting thing to have conversation. So even though it's legal, it's something you have to be very careful about.
Okay. We'll take our first break. Then when we come back, it'll be the feature of the week, and it's again police training involving handguns and rifles and all that.
Yep.
Live from the Puck on 3rd, this is Protect and Serve Radio.
You're listening to Protect and Serve Radio, live from the Puck on 3rd in Thief River Falls.
We are at the Puck on 3rd in Thief River Falls. We have two of the most distinguished officers in northern Minnesota here with us, Chief Wittenberg and, of course, Ryan. I say that just because Chief gets more respect.
Yeah.
Although,
not really.
Well, he's the boss, so.
Yeah. So we will be talking about coming up at the final before the end of the show. We are going to be talking about questions from the audience, people who have texted or called in, and some of these are questions that got missed on the last Tuesday show.
Yep.
But very, very timely questions right now. We'll get into those, answer questions from the audience at the last feature before the end of the show. But right now, you guys were out doing some shooting.
Yeah, we did our annual qualification a couple weeks ago, and it was great weather. We had a great time. This is the best part about it, is that we're going to be able to, Chief Wittenberg's going to be talking about all the stuff we're going to be using.
Yep.
So,
in fact, what we'll do is we'll play the audio, but you'll actually see the video with the narration that Ryan does over the video that's playing. But we'll start it right now. This is this week's feature. Firearms qualification happened in Thief River Falls just a little bit ago. And Ryan, you were there. You were part of it.
We do this
twice a year, and you'll hear the chief in this video describe that. And then also, he is discussing the firearms that we'll be using. We have potential to use while we're on duty. We'll listen to him talk about that in this video, or in this part of the video.
Well, today we're out here doing firearms qualifications. Now that's something that our officers have to do twice a year at a minimum. And so usually we do it on a nice summer day, and then in the fall, in October, usually we do a low light inclement weather shoot where we're shooting under less than favorable conditions. That could be rain, could be snow, depending on, October's here in Minnesota. So it's required that we do at least 2 per year. So this is going to cover one of them. Today what we're going to be doing is we'll be shooting all these weapons. I don't know if you can see them right here, but we'll start out with our handgun. This is a Glock 40 caliber, and this is the duty weapon that all Thief River Falls police officers carry. So they will be qualifying with this today. That's probably the most important thing that we qualify with, because this is with us wherever we go. It's on our duty belt. So wherever we go as police officers, we have that. That's why it's probably the number one weapon that we would possibly potentially have to use. So that's the first thing we're going to be doing, and probably, like I said, the most important thing. Secondly, all of our squad cars, or at least the primary ones that you guys see us patrolling in, have a 12 gauge shotgun just like this in them. Okay, so we will also be qualifying with the 12 gauge shotgun. We carry both slugs and buckshot in our squad cars with these, and they all three of our primary squads have them, so everybody will have to qualify with this today too. Again, all three of our primary squad cars have a squad rifle in them. Nowadays there's a lot more rifles out on the streets than there ever used to be, so it pretty much is necessary for us to have a rifle capability out there on the street. This is an AR-15 semi-automatic type of rifle. Again, the officers will qualify with this today. We carry these in the squad cars along with a plate carrier, which is a bulletproof vest that can withstand this type of rifle round. So there's a vest there with 2 magazines and a tourniquet on it, along with this rifle. So when they come out of the squad car, and if they think they need a rifle on the call, what they're going to do is they put on this plate carrier first, and that has the magazines and ammo they need, and then they grab the rifle. So there's really a couple of things they need as far as equipment when they take the rifle out of the squad. Okay, that's our and all three of these weapons I just talked about are obviously lethal force. That's the only time we'd use that is when we felt we were in danger of our lives, or we thought that somebody else was in danger of losing their life. So those are really the only circumstances that we would use deadly force. Okay, the last thing I'm going to talk about is the 40 millimeter less lethal gun that we have, and that's this. This is a single shot weapon. It's a less lethal weapon, which means that if we want to de-escalate, or if we want to get somebody down without, obviously causing them lethal injuries, this is what we would use. It has a laser sight on it, and it can do all kinds of things. It can launch tear gas, it can launch less lethal rounds, and normally if we're actually shooting this at someone to disable them or to distract them, we would be using what we call sponge round. As you can see, it's a big round. It's a 40 millimeter, and it also has green paint in it. So when you get hit by this, you're going to get marked with green paint. So if you fall down and then get up and start running away, you're going to be marked with green paint. This works really good in a crowd situation. If we have to arrest somebody in a big crowd, we can mark them, and when they got the green paint on it, you go to jail. Okay. There's 2 types of ammunition for this as far as green paint goes, and the black one here is what we call an extended range, and that one can reach out, out at distances. This one here, minimum of 5 yards, and then 5 feet. Okay, 5 feet. So this is 5 feet, and this is out past that. So this is an extended range one here. So they got 2 different ranges to them. So once again, this is something so that we don't have to use deadly force. We don't want to use deadly force. We never want to use deadly force, but we're required to stop people's behavior sometime, and sometimes the only way to stop their behavior is to use deadly force. This gives us a step between defensive tactics and hands-on as far as wrestling with people and deadly force. So there's a step in between that we can use. You can't always use this, but it is a tool that we sometimes could use to prevent us from having to use deadly force. We actually have used this where we had to shoot someone that was armed with a knife and was barricaded in an apartment and wasn't giving up and was telling us he was going to go out fighting. So we hit him with the 40 millimeter and tased him, and we definitely got him into custody. So it does work. It has been used already, and it's just one more tool in our toolbox. So those are the weapons we're going to be qualifying with today.
All right, the first video we're going to take a look at, you guys are on the range with handguns, and of course, they're not always 100%.
No, they're not. And part of this is learning to clear malfunction. And in this video we put dummy rounds into the magazines of our Glocks. And when we press the trigger, it won't fire, so we have to tap and rack. And you'll see our Deputy Chief, Jagger Bellows, doing that here. It just clears the... It'll clear the dummy round out, and I'm doing it here too, where you'll actually see it not fire, and then you have to tap the magazine and then rack it. It's just a reactionary muscle memory drill to not panic if your gun does jam.
This next video we're going to take a look at, we move up to the rifles, and the same thing can happen to a rifle.
Yes, here we have the AR-15. I'm shooting it, and our firearms instructor, Mark Bergman, is actually using a broom, and he's simulating a jam in this sense, or a double feed. And you'll actually see in the video when I'm shooting, it actually will kick the round into the chamber, but it'll come out in a different direction, like sideways, and it'll jam the whole gun.
Oh, wow.
And there's a couple ways to do it, and in this instance, here you drop the magazine and you try clearing it. This one was jammed pretty good.
Next video.
This one is the reactionary drill. So standing and talking to somebody in this video, and they become a threat, whether they pull a knife or a gun, and they're within 5 feet of you. And this is just pull the firearm out and shoot from the hip.
Okay, I was wondering when I was watching, I was like, is this some type of stunt shooting now?
No, it's not. It's they teach this actually in all the schools. In school, when I went to Alexandria and all the other schools, they teach this. Shoot from the hip, get it out of the holster and get it out there.
Quick response.
Yep, absolutely. Be kind of like a CQB type deal where you're in close counter combat type situations where they're coming right at you and they're within that very close distance, and you
Sure.
gotta be able to pull the trigger and get it out fast to react to the threat.
Right.
This next video is also one of the things they teach us in post, and part of our teaching or learning requirements is strong hand and weak hand drills. And that would be if you get injured in one hand, you got to be able to shoot with the other.
Right.
And in this drill, you'll see us within, I think it's 10 feet to shoot with the weak hand. And my weak hand is my left hand.
Mine too.
Yeah. So you see us transition over, shoot 5 rounds, and then transition over to the strong hand and shoot one-handed to the same.
Why is it one-handed? Because I would think that if you were in the field and you suddenly had to use your left hand, is it because your right hand is injured and
Yeah.
you can't hold the gun?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's a disabled thing. And I mean, there are drills that we can do and a lot where, reloading with one hand, or
Right.
it's not exactly the easiest at times. So, but we do some of those drills to teach us, hey, you're disabled, one hand is disabled, and you need to reload and do something real quick. The next video that we're looking at here is we're shooting from behind cover. This is to simulate, threats in front of us. We come out from the car and get behind the car and use the car as cover. And we're using 2 hands here in this, but it's to show, hey, get behind the car, use that vehicle as cover, and get out and around, and put bullets downrange at your target.
So most of your body's being covered or behind the vehicle.
Yeah, and in a lot of these situations, to be honest with you, is going to be a rifle. Get out of the car, use the rifle, and use that. But this is, hey, you have your handgun, and this is what you're able to do, and this is how you're supposed to perform when you're doing it and getting those rounds down range.
Sure. And the final video we'll show today is the less lethal, meaning you could take somebody down with a bullet that's made of rubber.
This one is, it's called less lethal rounds, and it's the chief described in the beginning of the video, and he actually showed you those. Mm-hmm. It'll actually paint the target when it hits it, and it's kind of a hard. It's not rubber. We don't use rubber. This is so we don't have to use lethal force. It's to cause pain and cause the person to go down from extreme pain. In this video, you'll see Officer Steer running through the course, and Officer Ben Turrison is behind him. And we're training in this video to have a second person with us that are carrying the less lethal rounds.
Yeah.
Yep. So they can actually grab the rounds as they're running to reload. And you'll see that in this video.
So the gun only takes one at a time?
Yep. You got to pop it out and then reload and train with that.
So how far back can you be using this? I mean, what's the range?
I forgot what the chief had said in the
500
beginning.
yards?
No, it's not very far. But it honestly, this is the first time I've ever shot it.
Okay.
And I got qualified in it, and I was surprised at how hard and fast and the distance those things go. And you'll see in the video, they come out fast and they hit hard.
And that concludes our special feature this month, the range and getting qualified with the police.
Yeah, and what you don't see in this video too is we qualified with the shotgun too. And that was part of the qualification. And like I said, with the rifle, it was just different mechanics, and we did different drills with it.
Yeah, so, officer, this show is only 30 minutes long, though.
It was fun, and it was exciting to see all the stuff that you guys do behind the scenes, but not nearly as much as you went through. That was a quick 12 minutes.
Yeah, and we do a lot more than that. So, I mean, that was just a section of part of what actually happened.
And you'll see that video coming up later today. Now, when we come back, we've got questions from around the area, and one pertaining to the mass shootings. Another one, a bit about traffic and frontage roads, which seems to be an issue among a couple of people. But we'll touch on those when we get back. Our final segment coming up next. Protect and Serve Radio, live from the Puck on 3rd. All right, so we don't have much time. We'll get right to it. Mass shootings in the country has caused a heightened sense of fear for people doing everyday things like shopping and attending events. Have you had calls from the local businesses and community members about these things?
Yes, we've worked with DigiKey and several other larger businesses, and we're actually, this coming week, we're doing active shooter training at the school, which is... so we've been working with the school district, some businesses, things like that. We actually haven't had an event here. We're keeping our fingers crossed, but we do want to be ready for one and if it does occur.
Okay. And of course, we got to wrap it up now, but if anybody tries to pull a prank or a stunt like we've seen in the news, you guys are going to crack on that, 100%, right?
100%. Zero tolerance.
We're going to respond appropriately, and that means gunpoint. We're not going to take any chances with someone. It's one trigger pull away from a shooting.
Protect and Serve Radio, we do it here at the Puck once a month with the Chief and Ryan Bassett. We'll be back next month with another cool feature.
All right.